Welcome to a very special edition of the Lynn MA Sportscast. This is our 2014-15 season wrap-up, and here with me today we have a Lynn legacy and sports legend in the North Shore area, Mr. John Hoffman. John, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for helping me, Sean.
It's awesome to have you back. As you guys know, from last year, we always do a season wrap-up, so we're going to be talking about the fall, spring, and summer sports. Pretty outstanding year overall in Lynn. We had a lot of athletes who were celebrated for their accomplishments. We even had some champions, and we've got some hardware in the city of Lynn. What's your take?
Well, it's great. I think the entire city was represented extremely well. You had St. Mary's girls softball win a Catholic Central League championship. Obviously, St. Mary's boys won a state championship. They also won the Clancy tournament. So they were 2 out of 3. They just missed. They had a shot. They let a game get away from them at the end of the year. They would have had a shot beating Austin Prep the last game of the season to get a piece of the conference.
Right.
But they'll take that being the one as opposed to the other two, the Clancy and the state championship. Right. For the first time in a long time, Peabody has won the Northeast Conference 10 years in a row. I think they split. They got a dual championship 1 or 2 of those years, but they come out of the GBL 10 years ago, and they've been #1 every single year. This is the first time that English and Classical had a real good shot at knocking them off. Going into the last week, Peabody, English, and Classical were all tied, and unfortunately, English and Classical had to play each other, and they knocked each other off. Then they played each other, and Peabody they had 15 kids. I think they had 12 seniors.
Yeah.
So they played against the older, they were surely older than Classical Young's team, and English a fairly young team. And, you know, they beat the Rams and the Bulldogs the last, I think it was the last regular game, and knocked them out. But Classical, English, went to the tournament. Classical, especially with a very young team.
Yeah, they did an outstanding job this season. I mean, they really did. They came out and they did more than anybody thought that they were going to do.
Well, they had, I believe, looking at the last lineup, counting the designated hitter, I think they had 7 players or 8 players in the game that were back next year. Their 2 solid pitchers, Tyler Way and Herbie Newton, are both sophomores. Joe Tardiff did a terrific job. Joe Tardiff lost a very tough game. They lost to Concord Carlisle 5-4 in the tournament. He gave up, not many people knew it because it wasn't publicized, but all 5 of Concord Carlisle runs were unearned. There was an error made, and a fly ball would have been the 3rd out. The kid hit a grand slam home run. He would not have hit but for the error. And then there was a fly ball to the outfield. The wind carried. It still should have been caught. The kid had it. Dropped it, a run scored, made it 5-0. Classical come back, made it 5-4. And Tardiff lost a very tough game. He played very, very well for Classical all year.
Classical, definitely a team to look at for the 2015-16 season next year. I want to talk fall sports. As we know, biggest fall sport in Lynn is without a doubt football. But we had saw some success on the soccer fields this year. We had also seen some success on the cross-country track. So some of those kids actually, one thing that I want to point out is like the students in Lynn, they're all good kids. They're all really just good kids who are really focused on their academics, and every time we have them on the show, we talk about things like, hey, what are your coaches trying to instill? It's teamwork, it's working together, it's perseverance, hard work, dedication. And I mean, you've had a chance to work with a lot of these kids too. Would you agree?
Oh, I get to know. One of the things I always say on TV is, I wish people could know these kids the way I know these kids. I know them just as well as their parents and their coaches. I meet them all, I know them all, I talk to them all. And you're right. And I used to argue with people because they would say, oh, Lynn. And I'd say, yeah, check the graduations.
Right.
When the schools graduate, check the schools that the kids from Lynn are going to. They're going to big-time colleges. We have kids from St. Mary's English Classical who are going to Harvard, who are going to Yale, who are going to Dartmouth, who are going to, big-time colleges. So the education is good. And the big thing is, I tell everybody, like now we just had the Aganis games. People came from all over the place to play. Teams from cities all over the cities from different around Massachusetts, and down south, east, west. And they walk in, and also from the tournaments, when they play tournament games, they have baseball tournament games, football games, soccer games. They walk in, they look at Manning Field, they look at Frazier Field, and they go, wow, is this a special game? And we say, no, all 4 of our high schools play at these games. All of lacrosse, soccer, and football play their games here at Manning Field. All 4 baseball teams play their games. And then when you tell them 0 athletic fee, there was just talk about Saugus going up to $700 per sport, per person, to play sports in Saugus.
That's nuts.
They knocked it off, but it's still $300 to $400
just to play.
To play, and then think about the pressure that puts on the coach.
Right.
Because your kid's the 15th player on the basketball team, and he's paying $400 to play, and he's not playing because you're trying to win the game.
That's what I'm thinking.
Parents go wacky.
From a coach's perspective, I mean, being at St. Mary's, you get all the guys who are, they're all paid tuition and go there. So, of course, you're going to have parents who are coming in, they're like, hey, why is my kid playing? I'm investing some time and money into this, and I want a return. But, I mean, if your kid's paying $400, $700 to play public schools, athletics, and he's not playing, I'm gonna have a problem with that too if I'm a parent.
No question. And they sit in the stands and they're looking and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, when does my kid get a chance to play?
Right.
And I'm paying the same as the kid that's starting, and why isn't my kid playing? And they don't realize that they're trying to win games, to go to the state tournament, to try and win a state championship. Right. That doesn't matter to those parents. They want their kids to play because they're paying for it. Lynn, you don't have to do that.
Right.
And it makes it, coaches have far less gray hairs. They get a lot of them, but they have a far fewer gray hairs in the city of Lynn than they do in other places.
Yeah. But I think it's a little bit more fun to coach in Lynn. It's definitely more competitive. You're definitely going to have a bigger crop of kids too. I mean, when it comes to like Lynn Sports, I mean, we got four high schools. I mean, 3 of them are public. I mean, and they're stacked with a student body. I mean, English, the football program is huge. Classical's football program is huge. Tech and St. Mary's, I mean, in regards to their league, they dress a lot of kids. And there are a lot of students out there who are competing.
Take a look at the students that are also at Malden Catholic and Bishop Fenwick at St. John's Prep, who are from Lynn.
Right.
And the people are saying, gee, why can't Lynn, like Babe Ruth has a very good program, and they win the district. One of the Little League programs might do very well, and they say, with all these kids and all these winning programs, how come Lynn doesn't win state championships or at least North championships more often than not?
Right.
And you say because more often than not, they're not playing Lynn. They're being scattered to the 4 winds.
Yeah. Let's talk winter sports. Basketball, hockey, big ones. Volleyball's offered at St. Mary's only still, right? No.
English and classical.
They've got English and classical volleyball too. Some of the big winter standout sports, classical's basketball team did a little bit better than they were supposed to do this year.
They made the tournament. Tommy Grasser, again, he does it with mirrors.
Right.
One of the better coaches in the Northeastern Conference.
And a great Spanish teacher, by the way, too.
Yeah. Oh, not anymore. He retired.
Right. Well, he was mine.
Everybody got nervous because they thought he retired from coaching and just retired from teaching. And I think what happens every time when they retire from teaching, they go to St. Mary's. Dick Ruth, Miss Lee, Matt Durgan's father, Tommy Grasser, they all wound up teaching a class over at St. Mary's part-time because they needed something to do to keep themselves busy.
Right.
So they keep it in the city. But they did well. Mike Carr did a terrific job with English.
Oh, yeah.
Went out a little sooner than he wanted to. Tech was in that rebuilding mode. They lost an awful lot of people, and they're not getting an awful lot of students at Lynn Tech, and they haven't, the program is down a little bit, but for years they were the cream of the crop.
Oh, yeah.
And you go in cycles. You can't win all the time.
I remember my sophomore year, I think it was 2002, 2001, all 4 high schools were in the tournament, and they all played, where was it? I can't remember where it was. But it was cool. My uncle woke me up, and he's like, hey, wake up. We're going to this tournament. It's going to be the only time you get to see 4 teams from Lynn compete. And I think it was classical versus English and St. Mary's versus Tech. The matchup was cool. But I'm so psyched that I went. I was never really a big basketball fan. The only reason why was because I got to wear paint on my face and be a meathead, if you remember that. But that's way past me, though, now. Anyway, all right.
You get the St. Mary's girls program have been so successful for so long. And even then, you wrap around the hockey team. Most people didn't think they'd make the tournament last year. They were down in numbers. They had a very, very young team. And they turned around. They made the tournament. Frank Pagluca, a terrific hockey coach, they made the tournament. You know, and
the Jets did all right this year too.
The Jets made the tournament. Joe Quanland does a terrific job with them.
I like Joe. Joe's cool.
Oh, he's a great. You know, he was a very good athlete. He was a hockey player and a baseball player. He was a very good athlete. His father was a judge.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, his brother, was a very good athlete as well.
He's like a straight to the point kind of guy. Don't waste your time. I think being a guy who's on the phone a lot, you appreciate stuff like that. Hey, John, need you for an interview. When? Wednesday, 7 o'clock. I'll be there. Yeah, that's it. And then the conversation's over. It's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. He's one of the really, really nice guys.
Yeah.
And you like to see people like that succeed. You know, and we mentioned the Lynn Tech basketball team, but St. Mary's girls basketball team.
Yeah, Jeff got his 200th win.
They were young. He does a great job, athletic director and coach.
And he had a kid, too, this year, too. Big year for Jeff.
Not one.
He had twins?
Had a couple.
Holy moly.
You know,
better him than me.
Yeah, and me, too. Although my wife's a triplet, but that's as close as I want to get.
Yeah.
But, you know, he does a great job. And the girls, they thought they'd go a little bit further. They played a Winthrop team who they had beaten twice during the year, or once during the year. Winthrop turned the tables on them and beat them out in Manchester. And
right.
They, in a close game, they got a lousy start. Big finish, just came up short. But they'll be a team to be reckoned with next year because they got everybody back.
Yeah.
And that young freshman, you know, Garrod, the point guard, came out of Sacred Heart, billed as the next coming of, I'm dating myself, Bob Cousy, Magic Johnson.
I don't know.
You know, she had a great year, and she'll be that much better now that she's going to be a sophomore and get a year older and get a year varsity under her belt.
Yeah, it seemed like the Winter Sports in Lynn had a lot of young kids. The St. Mary's hockey team, young kids. The girls hockey team, young kids too. So definitely something to look forward to next year. We got about 5 minutes left in the program, so I want to talk spring sports. We talked a little bit about the beginning of the program. One story that really kind of stands out to me, and I guess it's because of a little bit of nepotism, but my uncle Tom Donahue and his buddies Derek Dana and he's going to kill me. Timmy Fila. They are the coaches over at St. Mary's, and they won the state championship this year with their St. Mary's Spartans boys baseball team. And it's cool because the place where they won it, those three guys won their state championship there.
I was there.
You were there?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Well, back then, Jimmy Jettis was the coach. And back then, even the Clancy tournament here was very competitive.
Yeah.
And you had to win a game or two to get in the state tournament. And if you won here, like North Reading and St. Mary's, they did well going into the state tournament. Sometimes the state champion came out of here. But those guys won back-to-back state championships. 27 years ago they won, but 28 years ago they won as well. You know, so
they were honored this winter in the first annual St. Mary's Hall of Fame induction too.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
It's funny because Brendan O'Neill had a year and a half in a week. He pitched the state championship game. He pitched a shutout, struck out 9, knocked in 2, scored a run, and St. Mary's only got 3. He accounted for all 3 runs, pitched the shutout, won the state championship, pitches in the Aganis game, pitches a perfect inning, gets a base hit, knocks in a run, and scores a run, and gets the MVP of the Aganis tournament. So all of that in less than a week.
That's outstanding. And
the shutout he pitched in the finals, Timmy Fila was the pitcher, Derek Dana was the catcher.
Right.
And he pitched 1-0 shutout in the state tournament to win the state championship. So he's watching a pitcher pitch a shutout, knowing he did the same thing when he was pitching. He was left-handed, he was outstanding. And Derek and Timmy were the pitcher-catcher for both teams, both years, for the back-to-back state championship. So it's a great honor now to come back, and you probably never think you get a chance to do that once.
Yeah.
They did it twice. Now they get to do it a 3rd time coaching these kids.
In the same high school.
Yeah,
I can tell you just by knowing those guys, it's a really special thing. Timmy and Tommy and Derek, they love baseball.
They love the kids too.
Yeah, and the kids too. I don't know why they like baseball, but they love it and they're good at it too.
Derek signed a professional contract. He had a cup of coffee, I think, with the Giants.
Right. Yeah.
And Timmy was outstanding. Timmy works now. Timmy still works with helping out the post 6, Legion team, and he played Legion ball with Dickie
Right.
Champer and everybody. And you know, so the athletics in Lynn has been tremendous over the course of years. We had, I mentioned Tyler Way, you know, Kyle Morrow, Joe Tardif, as good an outfield as I've seen defensively this year in high school baseball. You know, Tyler Way, Herbie Newton on the mound. Herbie Newton, Lucas Harris, Clay Yanakopoulos for St. Mary's all pitched a one-hitter this year.
Yep.
Jim Castillo pitched a one-hitter. The one-hitter was a bunt, and he picked the guy off first base after he got the hit. You know, but I have to mention one.
Okay.
You mentioned the track.
Yeah, yeah.
The girls, 4 girls from Classical, were outstanding in the 4x200. They won the Northeast Conference Championship, setting a new record. They also won the Division II State Championship 4x200, and these girls were outstanding. And the 4 girls were Devin Estucio, who's also a very good soccer player, Agnes Bangura, Anna Wago, and Jennifer Gaudette from Classical, winning the NEC, setting a record, winning the state championship. That's another state crown for the city of Lynn.
Thank you,
with their
ladies.
coach Martin. You know, but you know, Elena Gridley, Courtney Braswell, the young Adams girl, another freshman, took over when Ivy Martin hurt her shoulder, had a pitch. Molly Doyle, the shortstop for St. Mary's, LaFosse, Michaela Hamill, who pitched and hit St. Mary's. You know, oh God, the starting pitcher for St. Mary's, I can't think of her name. And I know her like I know my own. She's the best around here too. She's only a sophomore. Colleen Newbury does a tremendous job there.
Yeah.
Classical made the tournament for the first time in a long time under their new coach.
Yep.
And Shannon Zarambi did a great job on the mound. She had a tough year. They had a very young English team. They didn't feel well behind her. She lost some games she should have won. She hung in all year, and she wound up getting the MVP in the Aganis game up the street. You know, so a great way to end her career. So there's stories all over the place in high school sports.
Speaking of stories, definitely, if you guys have a sports story or maybe you just have some feedback, you should visit us at www.LynnCAMTV.com/Lynn MA Sportscast. John, I want to say thank you for coming on to the program so much. That's it for our season wrap-up for the 2014-2015 season. Stay tuned for next fall when we start up for the 2015-2016 season. From the studio here at LynnCAM TV, that's it for the Lynn MA Sportscast. I'm Sean Donahue, wishing you all the best.